It is Friday, August 9th. I'm Jeremy Lambert. That is SP3, and it is time to get in the weeds. As you can see, Joel running from the grind once again. We just call him two-show Joel at this point because he only shows up 2 days a week instead of 3 days a week. But SP3 is here. Fill it in, as always. We appreciate you, SP3. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing well, good sir. I had a morning. I'm trying to get my phone fixed. It's going on a week. My secondary phone, because I have this phone for the UK.
Why you got two phones, SP3?
Because I got two phones. One for the because I needed a UK phone and I didn't want to pay my American phone bill for the time that I'm out here. So I just got a prepaid UK phone that I'm paying for. But I needed to get my American phone fixed because I have a cracked screen. Never leave your phone around. Your 4-year-old kids have a damaged battery pack because it won't charge because I dropped it in the water. That one I won't put on my kids. That was definitely my fault. So yeah, needed to get that fixed. I gave it to them on Wednesday. They said come back on Friday. And when I went there on Friday, the guy just tells me, yeah, I had to order the parts. So come back on Tuesday. I was like, that could have been a phone call. That could have been an email. Like, I didn't have to get on the bus for 30 minutes to come over here. Thankfully, my missus gave me some stuff to get from the Aldi's over here. So, yeah, just describe my morning to y'all. There you go.
You gotta call ahead. You gotta call and be like, hey, is this thing ready?
Well, like I said, my missus gave me something to do and get on the bus to get for her. She needed some stuff from the store. I needed some stuff from the store, so I was able to accomplish that, but I wasn't able to accomplish the thing that I actually was going there for.
I don't know if y'all can hear what's going on in the background here. We're having work done to our house for probably the next few weeks, so this is going to become the new normal on this show and any show that I'm on. Is you're just going to hear work being done on the house. I apologize. I can't do anything about it. Stuff needs to get done. And I do too many shows to where I can't be like, hey, don't come at this time because it's a big undertaking, this project. So I can't basically cut out 2 hours where they can't come, need to get this stuff done. So yeah, this is going to be the new normal. All right. Look, if you can't hear it, great. I can hear it. Hopefully it won't throw me.
You're on YouTube more than me, sir. But you're on YouTube Monday through Friday. Yeah. Monday through Friday, basically.
I don't know if I do as many hours as you, though. You do a lot of hours total.
That is true. That is true. Between AE Ramble and the True Hill Heat Flagship podcast, that's like 5 hours of my week right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I only do, I guess I can't do math. 6 hours of In the Weeds. Spotlight's it's technically like an hour and a half, but I guess if you throw in the interview, like that counts technically. Yeah. So that's 2.5 hours. And then however long we do on FMC. So that's
which can go anywhere from an hour to 2 hours if we play.
Depending on how we're feeling.
Game.
Yeah.
Depending on if we play a mobile game or not. But that's my two longest shows is AE Ramble and True Hill Heat. Like I do a Collision review. That's usually like an hour and change. I do the Raw review. Raw review went long this week because it was a good episode of Raw. So me and Romeo talked a lot about that. But yeah, I don't know. We got to compare notes. We'll do it starting next week, starting next Monday. Jeremy, you need to get your notes.
I just told you my notes. I just told you about how long I do. Like this show is 6 hours a week. And then throw in 2.5 hours for Spotlight. So that's what, 8.5 hours. And then 9.5 to 10.5 hours if you include SMC. So we'll call it like 10. We'll call it 10 hours.
You know what? I'm just gonna go to True Hill Heat. I'm gonna tell you how many hours I did.
Your flagship show on Saturdays is about 5 hours long. So
it's 3 hours. Don't listen to him. It's 3. We've been averaging 3 hours because we cover everything. And the G1's going on. You got different pay-per-views from WWE, AEW, and TNA. So it's usually we're averaging about 3 hours. So yesterday's AE Ramble went about 2.5 hours. I don't know. Don't ask me why we do a 2.5 hour show for a 2 hour show that we're reviewing. But it's usually because Jimmy starts rambling about other things. I can't control him.
That's why I can't do like those show reviews anymore. Like when the reviews become longer than the show itself, I'm just like, no, I don't have that much to say about like the shows. It's like, yeah, good match. That's fine. Cool. Yeah, I felt like I was so bad at the SmackDown reviews, and it was Friday nights, which I just couldn't do anymore. But yeah, I never liked doing those because the reviews became longer than the shows, and at that point, I gotta tap out. If no offense to USB3, no offense to Pulowski and Kate, because their show's like 3 hours long. But look, if your review shows are longer than the shows you're reviewing, I'm sorry. I can't stick with it long.
Really, AE Ramble has become a show that it has become a show about a show about a show. Because we talk. I would say that our Dynamite review is like an hour and 30 minutes. And then there's just everything else going on in wrestling that Jimmy wants to talk about that he has no other outlet to talk about it about. So we talked about the Lucha Bros in AEW. We talked about the Britt Baker MJF suspension. Then he had thoughts on SummerSlam and this week's Monday Night Raw. And then we get Super Chat. So that a whole hour of the show is not about the actual show we're reviewing. That's why AE Ramble has been averaging like 2.5 hours. But it's a great watch. Actual Pearl. So I did that. Then I did 2 hours on Monday Night Raw on Rated Raw review. So what we at? We at 4.5 hours. Then I did an hour and 13 for Collision Discourse. So where are we at now? That's 5.5 hours, 5 hours, 45 minutes. Then I did 2.5 hours on SummerSlam, the SummerSlam review. That was on Sunday. So where are we at now? That's we'll just average it up to 8 hours. And then True Hill Heat was 3 hours. So 11 hours. 11 hours since Saturday. From Saturday to now, I've done 11 hours on you. Just on True Hill Heat, though. I just thought about that I was on FMC.
Yeah, you're on like 5 other channels as well, including this one. So
yeah. And then did you see Jeremy? They finally aired when I went to WrestleTalk Studios, because I've been holding it back. I've been not revealing anything. I went to WrestleTalk Studios in the middle of July last week. I'm trying to fill in the dead air that would have been just banging from Jeremy's house.
I'm good. I mean, I feel like I'm working at a war zone here, but I need to like hold the mic over here. Coming to you live now from the Lambert household. We have
where there's banging going on. Live watch along of banging. But yeah, I went to WrestleTalk Studios in the middle of July, and I filmed their Survival series over on Parts Unknown. And ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at the first ever Black Survival Series champion in history. It was a Survival Series is basically their show where they give you a topic and you have to say each and every one of that topic in reverse chronological order. Like they've done Intercontinental Champions, WWE Champions. I had to do every AEW pay-per-view main event in reverse chronological order, and I only had one strike, and I made it all the way to the end. So, Will Washington, AEW, if you're watching, I need my ticket for All In. I'm a shill.
Congratulations, SV.
Thank you.
Congratulations on winning that. And I do know people in the chat are saying like Pulowski and Kate do impressions and a bunch of stuff. They've got a great community with what they do over there. And I know that's why the show goes very long. Like the review, kind of like you said, like the review might be shorter than the show, but then you talk about other stuff and
I think me and Kate could do more than the hour, but we have like we're on an hour time limit. It's like an AEW world title matchup with our ROH review. But I think me and Kate would get off tangents and make jokes and I was popping her a couple of times with the different how I said Dustin Rhodes looked like he was on life alert when he fell down and sold his knee in yesterday's show. So we could rarely do it, but we're on an hour time limit, so I like that, and I like being the color commentator to Kate being the play-by-play. Where it's different from True Hill Heat, where I have to be like the play-by-play guy.
I haven't said it yet, but everybody leave a thumbs up on the video. 10 minutes in. There we go. Got the fireworks going. Leave a thumbs up on the video. You can leave a super chat, get your question, comment, statement read on the air. Subscribe to the channel. And I think that's everything. We do have a super chat from Amber, who's watching live today. Happy Friday. Glad to catch you live today. Love getting in the weeds with you all. Who do you see as the next off-the-radar talent to jump from company to company? So I guess this is in kind of the discussion of there was the report that Ricky Starks is going to be leaving AEW once his contract expires, and the Lucha Bros are going to be leaving AEW once their contract expires. They're all three expected to go to WWE. I don't feel like neither is. I guess Lucha Bros a little off the radar because I don't think a year ago you would have said, "Oh yeah, the Lucha Bros are going to gonna head to WWE," and now here we are a year later, and they're there. Ricky, the writing's been on the wall for a little bit with him. So who do you see as the next sort of off the radar talent who could go from AEW to WWE or WWE to AEW?
I will say this only because I saw somebody else mention this, and I don't think it's true, but it would be kind of an off the radar talent that you wouldn't automatically think of, but Athena, because she's had this great run in Ring of Honor, but she's stuck behind a paywall. She never really got a good push when she was on AEW television, and she's been on ROH so long that there's a certain amount of fans that pretty much have forgotten about her, even though she's been having the run of the best women's wrestler in the world. For those who have watched, have acknowledged her as that. She's won awards, in 2023 for being the best women's wrestler. But I would say that would be the one that I would say is like off the radar that might think about when their contract expires, making that jump.
Athena's very off the radar. That's a good shout by you. I don't see it personally. I
don't either. But I think that would be like that's why it's off the radar.
Right.
We don't see it right now. If you go back to True Hill Heat this past Saturday, me, Chrissy, and Josh all was like, yeah, we're like 90% sure the Lucha Bros are going to re-sign with AEW. So it's off the radar from Saturday. From Saturday to Monday when the news came out, it was off the radar. So that would be the one, because I don't see it right now, but it could be possible.
It could be. I mean, I'm trying to surmise just Athena's just got to move to AEW whenever talks or whatever might be comes up. Like, she's just got to be part of AEW. I don't think it goes past that. She's outgrown ROH and she needs to be part of the AEW women's division. I just don't know when it's going to happen because they've waited so long on it that it doesn't feel like they missed the timing on it, but she's going to hold this title until she, I assume, drops it to Billy, which the next show isn't until September. I guess they're doing a show in
December.
Oh, they don't have another show till Final Battle?
Nope.
Oh, I thought they had a September.
They do three. Dude, I literally was thinking about that after I did the ROH review last night. I was like, they really need another pay. They need to do 4 pay-per-views a year. They need to bring back Glory by Honor or something in like September or October, because that's a very long gap from July to December to do another show. But me and Kate were talking about it last night. We think that Final Battle, they're going to do 1 year in the making, Billy and Athena again, and that's where Billy's going to win. So we're probably not going to see Athena back in AEW and not ROH, AEW exclusively until like 2025.
Yeah. When it comes to WWE to AEW, I don't know if Dakota Kai is off the radar. Apparently she's hurt again, which is unfortunate. Like, I could possibly see that. I just don't know if she's ever gonna get the step up in WWE that I think a lot of fans feel she deserves and a lot of fans want to see. So I could see her potentially moving when the time comes. But again, SP3 and I want to make this very clear before people be stupid with it. We don't have any insights on this, on when contracts are up, on when people could move. No idea how long. For all I know, Dakota Kai's got a 5-year deal and she ain't going anywhere anytime soon. We were asked about off the radar picks who could move, and so this is who we have decided on is Athena and Dakota Kai. So yeah, Henry's saying when Dakota Kai was a free agent, there was never a mention to AEW. Like there wasn't. So maybe that, it was different time then compared to now though. And this is, again, we're talking off the radar. Just because she wasn't mentioned then to going to AEW doesn't mean she wouldn't be mentioned if she 6 months from now would possibly be in that spot. That's the whole point of this exercise. We appreciate the super chat, Amber. We can talk a little bit about Lucha Bros. We talked a little bit about Lucha Bros on Wednesday, Joel and I. Ricky is a different conversation because he's been off television for so long that it's not like he's been even part of AEW. So this is the conversation I had with Joel. I want to get your thoughts on it. Is whose side people are on based on just the comments they are making of when Bobby Lashley's contract was expiring. Everyone, depending on whose side it was, they fumbled them. How'd they screw up Bobby Lashley? How come Bobby Lashley is not being used more? And then the other side is, well, is it that big of a loss? He's not on television. Like, it's not like he was being booked. It's not like he was a focal point of the show. Who cares? Not who cares and like who cares, but like it's not that big of a deal. And now we're seeing the reverse of that when it comes to these AEW talents of, how could they not do more with the Lucha Bros? How could they not do more with Ricky Starks? And the other side is, well, they're not on television that much. So it's not like they're in a prominent story. It's not like they've done anything for the past 6 months. So is that big? Is that big of a loss for them? Where do you fall on the Lucha Bros and now Ricky potentially leaving, I should say?
I don't think the Lucha Bros are a fumble because you can make the argument that they kind of did everything they could as a duo in the tag team division, in the trios division. When you think about like the top talent, the top teams currently in AEW, Lucha Bros have pretty much faced the Young Bucks, the FTRs of the world, the top flight. Really, the only tag team that I don't remember them having like big significant matches with is the Acclaimed. And I think that to a lot of people, the Acclaim is not like, oh man, I gotta see the Acclaim versus the Lucha Bros. Could they have done more with the Lucha Bros in the tag team division? Most definitely. They should have had another run with the AEW World Tag Team titles. I think the better argument is that they could have done a lot more with the Lucha Bros individually, because Penta was like this charismatic guy that they could have elevated into a top upper card program or even potentially in the main event scene, especially when they teased him going Penta Asquero or Pentagon Dark. They could have done more with him there. And Rey Fenix was like a full-fledged like Rey Mysterio in the making, especially when he was in his late 20s, early 30s. Yeah, they had their injuries and their setbacks in that regard. So I can also understand the other side of the spectrum being like, can Tony Khan and AEW trust someone like a Phoenix who has that high risk style and the style that he does in the ring to not get hurt in these certain situations? And a lot of his injuries were like freak accidents, like when he got choke slammed through the table by Luchasaurus and hurt his arm. Like those type of things you can't control and you can't kind of predict those. So I feel like you could have gotten more out of them as individuals. So I think that if you're going to make the argument for them being fumbled, I think as individuals, they were fumbled, not as a tag team, because I think they did as much as Tony Khan could do with them as a duo. But Ricky Starks is definitely a fumble. because Ricky Starks is not only a good in-ring wrestler, he has what not a lot of other people on the AEW roster has. He's an elite on the mic. He's an elite talker. And that's not a lot of guys. Like, he's one of the rare guys that beats MJF, who's one of the best talkers ever in that company's history, on the mic. And he's really stood out towards the end of 2022. And I thought that they could have done more with Ricky Starks instead of putting him in the tag team division when he had that breakout matchup with Bryan Danielson at All Out. He should have been pushed as one of your top heels or your top heels in the making. Like, you could have made him somebody that won the TNT championship or international championship and had a singles title run that wasn't the FTW championship. I feel like they really could have done a lot more with Ricky Starks, and I feel like they fumbled him at his peaks when he separated from Powerhouse Hobbs, when he did that whole breakup angle, and they didn't really capitalize on the heat that they got at Fight for the Fallen 2022, when they broke up for the first time, and he cut that awesome promo before Powerhouse Hobbs turned on him. You could have done more with him there. They pushed him to the AEW World Championship, and he only had a 2-week program with MJF, and then he immediately went into the Jericho Vortex in a 3-month storyline at the beginning of 2023. And I don't think that was the way to capitalize on the momentum that he had as a babyface. So they had their chances, they had their opportunities, and they never fully pulled the trigger on Ricky Starks. So I feel like Ricky Starks, more than the Lucha Bros, is a fumble by AEW.
I think the part where they missed with Ricky was after the Danielson match, when it looked like, Danielson was going to shake his hand. He was going to shake Danielson's hand, and then Big Bill pulled him back, and Claudio pulled. Like, nothing happened out of that. I feel like Blackpool Combat Club, honestly, is just, I love every wrestler part of that group. Everyone knows how I feel about Bryan Danielson. I think Jon Moxley for a time was like the top guy in wrestling. Like 2019, 2022, Jon Moxley, there was nobody who felt like was an equal to him. He had such a presence about him when he first joined AEW. Claudio has always been a fantastic in-ring worker, and Wheeler Yuta has always been kind of a next up guy. It feels like they've gotten so little out of that group, like compared to what they should have gotten out of them. And like Regal leaving may have changed stuff, but that's at this point, been years. Like Regal's been gone. So,
yeah,
it's something that they could have fixed by now, and they just haven't. They're aligned in that, like, Danielson does commentary for matches with guys who are there, and Yuta and Claudio are, teaming and stuff, but like they're not actually aligned. And I think that has just been I don't want to use the word fumble, but it's been a disjointed kind of group to where it feels like they should have gotten so much more out of that. And I thought Ricky Starks potentially joining or doing some type of like overarching feud with him that extended beyond Danielson was there, and it never happened. And that's really the last time we've seen Ricky in anything prominent on television, is the Danielson stuff, which was, again, at this point, almost a year ago. I thought that's where they missed with Ricky. As far as Ricky, Chi-Town's first saying, like, is he good in ring? I don't think he is an AEW flavor in ring.
No.
I think that's where I don't think he's bad in ring. I wouldn't say that, but AEW
he's good. He's not great. He's good.
Yeah. AEW has a certain style, and Ricky doesn't necessarily work that. So that's why I think he's going to be great in WWE, because he does work more of a WWE style in the ring. And now, especially with the freedom they have, with the freedom that they have on the mic, I think he'll be a lot better on that. So I think he's going to do very well in WWE, because he's always had the presence. He's always had just the charisma. I know it gets the bootleg rock stuff, but I mean, come on. He's always had a presence about him, and he's been able to hold his own on the mic. So I can see Ricky doing very well in WWE with his talking.
to piggyback off what you said about the Blackpool Combat Club, Blackpool Combat Club may be the biggest missed opportunity in AEW history, because does anyone even remember the whole entire premise that Bryan Danielson suggested when he was about to face John Moxley at Revolution? When he said, me and Moxley can come together and teach the next generation. We could teach the guys like Wheeler Yuta. We could teach the guys like Lee Moriarty. We could teach the guys like Daniel Garcia. And they stopped at one student. Imagine if Cobra Kai stopped at Johnny Lawrence and just stopped. He didn't have a whole bunch of people like, with John Kreese in Karate Kid 1. Say if Johnny Lawrence would have stopped at Miguel Diaz and didn't have the Aishas and Hawks in the Cobra Kai. I know I'm doing a reference that not everybody's going to get, but it just doesn't make any sense why they stopped at Wheeler Yuta. Like, they just hit Wheeler. This is before Regal left. I think that they were already fumbling the bag on this Blackpool Combat Club and the potential of it. The Daniel Garcia whole tease of Daniel Garcia potentially joining up with this hero, Bryan Danielson. I know Jericho, we learned the backstory to that was, Jericho really needed him in the Jericho Appreciation Society. Well, how did that work out for Daniel Garcia with the Jericho Appreciation Society? So was that worth it? No, that was their first mistake. Then Regal leaves, and I know that changes a whole bunch of stuff. But then they brought it back when they turned heel against the Elite. But it was just to turn heel against the Elite. And then the rest of the year after the Elite program ends, the whole issue that I had with Blackpool Combat Club, and I literally had people from AEW hit me up being like, oh, you got to understand this and that. And I was like, no, it just doesn't make sense why they are heels on Dynamite and babyfaces on Collision. That is, you're never going to get a group over if I'm watching the whole entire product and they are one thing on one show and another thing on another. That's not going to work out for them, and you're going to make them lost. You're just going to make them lost, and no one's going to be able to connect with them because they don't know how to feel about them, because you're giving them two different messages on two different shows. And maybe, not a lot of people watch both shows, but I do. So as a viewer that did, it was very confusing in the summer and fall of last year of why Blackpool Combat Club were two different characters on two different shows in the same company.
So I saw a lot of this discussion. I think it's a worthwhile discussion to have on a platform like this and not on Twitter or social media where you can't discuss anything. Let's be honest. People were talking about the motivations of like Swerve, and is Swerve a babyface? Is Swerve a heel? Is Hangman a babyface? Is Hangman a heel? And then it became, well, these are just complex characters with different emotions depending on who has wronged them and whose side are they on and things like that. And I think there's a worthwhile discussion here to have of, yes, Swerve, you can call him a babyface if you want. You can call him a heel if you want. Right now, Swerve is just Swerve. He's still the same guy, and he's still doing things that got him to the title. He wants to end Bryan Danielson's career because Bryan Danielson, he's putting his career on the line. What's Swerve supposed to do? Not be the valiant babyface and be like, no, Bryan Danielson, we're not going to do that. Like, this guy's coming after his title. Yeah, Hangman believes he's in the right. Hangman believes he's in the right when it comes to Swerve. This man broke into his house. This man, threatened him in various ways. Why is Hangman in the wrong for this? He's getting booed, but he's still, like, in his mind, he's the babyface. You can have complex characters like this with Swerve, with Hangman. It works with certain guys. But I do think there is an argument to be made. And by the way, this goes both companies, okay? This goes because I think WWE does some good complex character work with, like, are you in the right with CM Punk? Are you in the right with Drew McIntyre? Like, you can kind of see who the babyface is and who the heel is, but Drew thinks he's right. Drew thinks he's justified in all of this. So in his mind, he's the babyface. Like, this goes both ways. What you can't do is the stuff they were kind of doing with Blackpool Combat Club and muddy things as much as they were to where, okay, now I'm just confused on which one they are. And I think the biggest argument for this is WWE has done such a great job at really establishing their top heels and their top babyface. Cody Rhodes is a top tier babyface. You know, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, these guys are top tier babyface guys who get big reactions every single time, who are more clean cut. Like there's a little, maybe a little heelish tendency, Orton with his side eyeing and things like that. But like, these are your top baby faces. And your top Solo Sikoa. However you feel about him is how you feel about him. That guy's a heel though. All his actions scream heel. LA Knight on the babyface side. They've really done a good job on the babyface side.
Yeah.
Heel, Solo Sikoa, Gunther, is the heel just by the stuff he's saying to Damian Priest and the way he treats everybody. Like they've done such a good job of establishing everyone else that it's okay when you have like a Seth Rollins, a CM Punk, a Drew McIntyre being a little bit more on the complex side. AEW has struggled in establishing the surrounding part of stuff to where, and I've said this for a very long time, their best babyface is Orange Cassidy. That is their absolute best babyface. And I don't think they do enough to make him the top tier babyface. You got a guy like Bryan Danielson, who, again, love Bryan Danielson. He's a babyface, but then he's feuding with Will Ospreay. And now, so it's the two babyface dynamic there. And then Ospreay, I guess he was kind of the heel at the time because he's with Don Callis' family. And then he's questioned himself on the Tiger Driver, which was annoying. And I didn't like that story at all. But they haven't done enough of the surrounding babyface and heel. And my biggest complaint here is the elite stuff, where they're supposed to be the heels, but they don't take anything serious at all, to where I don't have this rooting desire against them. I don't look at the elite and I'm like, I want to see you get yours. I look at them and I'm like, well, you guys are kind of laughing about stuff. And so, okay, if this isn't serious to you, it's not going to be serious to me. And I don't think they've done a good enough job establishing really everything around the complex characters. It's fine to have the complex characters. Swerve, Hangman, I think that's great stuff. But then you've got to establish almost the universe around all of them. And I think that's what gets lost on people. And I know people are gonna say, like, when it comes to some of this stuff of, oh, well, it's a different way to present wrestling. It's a different way to do it. I agree. I get it. I understand it. If it's for you, it's for you. I think we also got to look at some realities of the decline when it comes to numbers. And I don't like diving deep into that stuff, but it also can't be ignored. Like it just can't. You can't ignore it. Like, it's cool if it's for you. Like, all right, I'm going to enjoy this type of thing. Not every criticism, not every complaint is a bad faith kind of thing. Sometimes there's a reality of like, let's actually look at what's happening. What can we do? Why is this happening? You've got to find solutions sometimes. And sometimes a criticism can lead to a solution. I know I just said a lot. SP3.
No, you made a lot of sense, because I was thinking about like, who are the top heels, top baby faces in AEW, and all of them I would think like have and then but like you said, Orange Cassidy I think is one of their better baby faces, but they didn't capitalize on when he was at his highest, which was at All Out last year. They let him flounder. They let him hang out with Hook for a little bit. Then they immediately tried to, the next time he had an actual program, he was right back with Jon Moxley and beat him in a matchup that at least people remember than his matchup at All Out, where he lost the international title. He beats him at Full Gear, and not a lot of people remember that as much as they remember the All Out main event. So they really didn't capitalize on Orange Cassidy, and they kept him in the mid card pretty much for his second international title reign. And now he's kind of just there. I don't see any kind of upward mobility where he can be a main event level babyface. Honestly, to me, I don't think Orange Cassidy is their best babyface. I think Darby Allin is. But then
I agree. Yeah.
But then with Darby Allin, you had the Four Pillars storyline from last year, where he was like basically talking to like Jack Perry as like a heel. Like he was like saying some stuff where I was just like, that was one of the least segments that I hated. One of the segments I hated the most last year was the whole Four Pillars. After like the initial promo between them, I felt like that whole story fell apart on the way to Double or Nothing. But I feel like they've gotten Darby back on track where he feels like the main event babyface that can have upward mobility. I love the nuanced characters though, with like Swerve Strickland, who the best description of Swerve Strickland, especially in his feuds with Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson, is he's a very popular antagonist. And he is really good at that. And you'll have his fans that are going to root for him, even against a Will Ospreay, even against a Bryan Danielson. But he's at his best when he is playing those mind games and talking about family and talking about taking your legacy. He just works. That's why the best two programs of his title reign, which is going on 4 months now, has been against babyfaces, established babyfaces like Will Ospreay, like Bryan Danielson. They've course corrected Will Ospreay in a great way by taking him away from the Don Callis family. But then you have like the whole Tiger Driver story where, I understand the type of story they're trying to tell, and hopefully they pay it off at All In, where he realizes that the guy to do the Tiger Driver on is this guy that just bloodied your best friend in MJF. The time to do it is at Wembley Stadium at the biggest show of the year. So that is the time to finally get over this whole epidemic that he has about using the Tiger Driver. Then you have someone like MJF, who had a very well executed heel turn at the beginning of July. But then they're deciding the build to him and Ospreay is to make him pro-American against the UK guy when all your shows are in America. So then you have instances like last week's Dynamite where MJF's getting USA chants while Will Ospreay's talking. And it's just like, dude, you totally lost the plot. Like, I understand what you were going for, but the US versus UK angle to this is only going to work when you go to Wales for Dynamite and when you're at Wembley Stadium. It's not going to work in South Carolina, ladies and gentlemen. It's just not. It's just not going to work. But MJF is a very effective heel. He's actually been a better heel when he wrestles than when he talks because of this whole American angle. Like how he was on Dynamite this week, that is MJF in his bag. He felt like Ric Flair getting heat, making Kyle Fletcher feel like the top babyface, like a top babyface on the rise. Everybody's talking about Kyle Fletcher's performance, and that was very well done. That's where MJF is at his best, when he's getting that type of heat in the ring, not when he's on the mic talking about USA, because you get South Carolina that cheers for him because they love America over, they love Will Ospreay, but they also love America. So it's a mixed reaction type of thing. So I think that they just have to kind of like establish who their top baby faces, who their top heels are, but you could still have those nuanced characters. Like I feel like Hangman Adam Page has been the best character on AEW. Just him not saying Swerve's name and then the intensity, he comes off like this unhinged maniac. That's where the heel part of it comes, but he's also very justified with everything that Swerve did to him. And then Swerve is very nuanced, where he could say to Jim Ross, "Oh, I just knocked on the door, and that's why I got the opportunities that I'm looking for." No, sir, you actually committed trespassing twice. You almost murdered an 18-year-old kid. You almost murdered a baby by throwing a shirt on him in his crib. Those two characters are two of the best that AEW has. We just want, like, I think that what Jeremy's saying and what I'm saying, I want them to have the other characters to be established as babyface or heel. You can have nuanced characters, but you have to have those big time baby faces that the crowd can all get behind, all rally behind. And you have to have those heels that the crowd want to see get beat up. And maybe that can change the trajectory of where the numbers are going for AEW.
And look, again, not trying to knock complex storytelling or anything like that. And I know people are like, oh, well, every character can be complex. To some extent, yes, characters can be complex, but let's be honest about what wrestling was found upon. Let's be honest about why wrestling gets as hot as it gets. It's when people just have defined character traits of, I'm cheering for this guy, I don't like this guy. That's that's wrestling. Like that's superhero movies. That's everything. Yeah, they can be complex in certain areas, and certain people can. I don't watch the Marvel stuff. I can't pretend that I do. I do know that what's the clearly I don't know because I can't think of his name. Bucky, right?
Yeah.
The Bucky, like Captain America feels some type of way about him, but like Captain America is freaking Captain America. So maybe he's got to fight Bucky. Leave a thumbs up on the video. Like you can have the complexities there, but there's also something to be said about like this guy is the guy you're also cheering for. And that's when wrestling is at its actual best. Is when, okay, this guy is the guy that I'm cheering for. This guy is the guy that I do not like. And I want to see him get his comeuppance. That's just how wrestling works. That's how it's always worked. We're not asking to reinvent the wheel on this stuff. Again, you can do your complex stuff. No problem with that. But you got to have established people of like, this is the guy I'm all in on. This is the guy I don't like. And I'm going to hit a couple of super chats here. Cyclops Better Than Logan says, the Pinnacle was the biggest fumble, went from feeling like new Four Horsemen to just MJF background dancers. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that didn't work out there with the Pinnacle. And, you know, Chi-Town Spurs says, there are always these types of falls in AEW or have been for a while. The difference is Tony no longer has the benefit of the doubt from a lot of fans. Too many big stories have had endings or no change in the landscape. Like this is very true. And the one story I will continue to go back to is a recent one. I thought they dropped the ball with the Tony Khan attack. They dropped
the ball with the whole Elite storyline. Like
right, that's what I'm saying.
Elite storyline gave you like show long narratives that you could follow along and tidbits, and I feel like because it didn't draw like big enough ratings for them, they just totally said, "All right, we're gonna stop doing show long narratives." But like, say like this week's Dynamite, I think that it would have been much better if they would have done the MJF Kyle Fletcher beatdown matchup, and then the post match with the beatdown, and then go to commercial right after the beatdown of Kyle Fletcher, and then when they come back, tell us we're going to hear from all three men at the later of the show, because they did that on social media. We got an MJF promo that was really good. You could have done that at the beginning of the top of the second hour, and then right before the main event, the awesome Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher interview that they put on social media, where Fletcher's like, "Why don't you use the Tiger Driver against him?" Like, that's what we need. That's how you get people invested. And MJF and Will Ospreay over the last month have been your top draw. So draw that out as a show long narrative. They just completely dropped that with the Elite and Tony Khan.
And Alexander Fitzgerald says, the past couple of weeks, I've just not bothered to tune into AEW. I'm excited for All In, though. The Elite story has been a letdown. It started off so hot and fell off quick. And when they did the Tony Khan attack angle, that should have been like the biggest thing in the world. And it was for a day when Tony Khan shows up to the draft and he's wearing the neck brace. Like, it was a big thing. You had Shad Khan out there. They did follow it up well with the Kenny Omega attack. Like, that was really good stuff as well. And then you had Anarchy in the arena with no stakes, and the Elite won and nothing happened. And then they issue the Blood and Guts challenge. And then you do Blood and Guts, and Darby Allin gets a title shot out of it. But now the Acclaimed, who have a title shot against the Young Bucks, are all of a sudden worried about FTR, and Okada is just facing Claudio because Claudio won a match, but Pac also has a shot at MJF or Will Ospreay. We got to remember that as well. They didn't, the follow-up, and we're not even doing Swerve and Hangman. We're doing that at a later date. Like, they're not doing that at their biggest show. Like, the Blood and Gut, what came of Blood and Guts? Darby Allin got a TNT title shot, which you probably could have just asked Tony Khan for, because they're best buddies. Tony Khan's giving him a ride to the arena. You probably didn't need to do all of that. Like, that angle should have been so much more. It should have been Christopher Daniels becomes the interim GM, and, like, he gets beat up. They rigged the coin toss. Okay, no one cares. There should have been so much more. Jason mentioned Darby also gets an AEW world title shot. Yes, he won a battle royal, so he gets a world title shot. But also they are doing the Casino Gauntlet at All In, so the winner of that gets a world title shot. Like when you do all these world title shots of just like battle royals and gauntlets and tournaments, like it's a nice way to set up stuff. But when it happens in succession like this, you're not actually building to anything. And that's the tough part is, yeah, Darby Allin's got his world title shot in a month and a half. But first we got to get through Bryan Danielson having his match and potential retirement match. Darby's going elsewhere, doing a thing with Jack Perry. If you do a Casino Gauntlet at All In, whoever wins that wins their title shot All Out, maybe in 2 weeks. So are you building that for 2 weeks? And then Darby is 2 weeks after that. Like it's okay to set things up through this, but there's got to be a build to it. Darby's just chilling with his title shot in his back pocket, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna worry about Jack Perry. Like I don't actually mind this title shot scenario. Like it's okay. I'm a little worried of the casino now adding the Casino Gauntlet, and then if that becomes an All Out main event, which is very possible, things getting a little bit to not letting things like breathe and build. The Pac thing completely baffles me. He earned his shot, and now like I don't know if he might be in the Casino Gauntlet to earn a world title shot, even though he's got an international title shot. But MJF and Will Ospreay got to do their international title match because Ospreay just got his rematch, because sometimes the rematch clause is a thing and other times it's not. You never know. Like it depends on the day. And the Acclaim stuff baffles me. If they earn their shot and they're worried about FTR, I'd tell FTR to kick rocks. Go beat somebody. I understand you beat.
We won a title eliminator.
Yeah, like we beat the Young Bucks. Yeah, like I would tell them to just go away. Go cut your I Love AEW promo on ROH or something. I don't care. We got our title shot. Get out of here. Like it just becomes again muddy. And as we're talking about Alexander Fitzgerald, like we're talking about Pac getting this international title shot that who knows when it's going to happen. Like it's okay to earn title shots, like earn them through these means. That's fine. I'm fine with that. But then you got to build after they're earned instead of just earning, sitting, here's your title match. Because that doesn't accomplish anything.
Yeah, it's all very convoluted at this point with people who have title shots in their back pocket, people that are building the stuff, but we don't know when that's gonna happen. Like I honestly thought that the Acclaim should have got a title shot before All In, but it looks like we're gonna get a 3-way matchup with those guys. Don't even get me started on the Trios Championship and stripping the titles of the Bang Bang Gang, only to have them lose to the Patriarchy the very next week. So what was the point? You should have just had it. You should have just let them hold on to the titles and have a Christian and the Patriarchy win that way. But no, they needed to strip them of the titles to bring back the ROH 6-man tag team titles. Like we don't have enough multi-man titles in this company that has the AEW World Tag Team titles, the AEW Trios Championships, the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles, the Ring of Honor 6-man Tag Team titles. Hell, we could have New Japan come over with the IWGP Tag Team Champions because TMDK ain't in the G1, so they could show up at any point. Like it's just too many belts. I've been arguing against that for a while, that they don't have too many belts, but they definitely have too many multi-man belts. Like you can't have a ROH 6-man tag team titles, and ROH tag team titles, a AEW tag team titles, and AEW Trios Championships when there's no restrictions. Like the Ring of Honor titles don't stay on just Ring of Honor. We have the Ring of Honor tag team champions in the front row on Dynamite this week getting involved in this party trios matchup. It's just, we just need to streamline stuff, make stuff, make sense from week to week. All of that I am saying, though, I will say, like the top 3 matches for All In have been built very well. I was not into Swerve and Bryan Danielson. I was like you, I think the last time I was on this show, we argued that Swerve and Hangman Adam Page should have probably been the main event. I still think that, but I will say they have done a tremendous job with making me care about Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland. And the fact that it feels like an unpredictable finish, that you could see Swerve beating Bryan and continuing his reign because it just started in April. But you could also see Bryan Danielson finally winning the AEW World Championship to keep his career going. And they play this out, and maybe they do the blow off with Swerve and Bryan once again in Washington at Wrestle Dream. You could see all of that playing out where that feels unpredictable. There is the AEW, International American Championship, whatever they're calling it this week, MJF and Will Ospreay. Although I think the US UK part of it is not working, and I think it's obvious it's not working, guys, because they've kind of like laid low on that a little bit this past week. I think that now they have established an emotional connection to it with the fact that MJF went after Will's best friend and bloodied Kyle Fletcher. So now he has an emotional reason to go after MJF besides him screwing him out of the championship that he cares so much about. Now there's an emotional connection there. So they've done a good job with that as well. But the best built storyline is Mariah May and Timeless Toni Storm. Like, I had the whole question yesterday on AE Ramble. Should this main event? Because I feel like it's the best built out of all these storylines. Like, they had a little misfire with Mariah May's explanation the week after the betrayal. I think it was a misfire with having her come out as Timeless Toni Storm and try to do the Timeless Toni Storm delivery. But the brawls, the intensity, the heat behind it has increased since then, since Toni's been back. And these pull-apart brawls they've been having, that it feels like it is culminating, and it should culminate in the main event or be a headline. Like, there's one thing where I understand, people want AEW to eventually do a women's main event for a pay-per-view, but we've never even had the woman kick off the show. Honestly, at this point, I'm saying if I'm Mariah May and Timeless Toni Storm, you built this storyline so well, it needs to at least kick off All In. If it's not going to be the main event of the show, it should at least kick it off and be the first women's match to open a pay-per-view, because they have been firing on all cylinders. The crowd seem behind it. They are cheering for Timeless Toni Storm, and they want to see her get her revenge on Mariah May that played her this whole time. And it's the culmination of a 9-month storyline. So that's been the best build. I think they've kind of fell off with Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné, and that has to do with more stuff that happened off the screen. But they were on a good run leading up to Britt getting suspended. But the top 3 matches, I think they've done a good job at. But there's just other issues surrounding it where we don't know what's the direction, and it feels very convoluted with a lot of different things, with title shots, with random ass matches, with people who have a title shot for this but also are going after this title. It's just all very confusing. And where the hell is the Elite at this point? That's another question that I had. Ever since Blood and Guts, it's just like, oh, the Elite's not on TV anymore, even though they're still suspending Britt Baker and they're still doing other stuff. And Okada has a face-to-face with Claudio, but Claudio's also in the CMLL tournament coming up. So we don't know if he's going to be at All In. We don't know when we're going to do that matchup. So
it's got to be Okada and Claudio at All In, right?
I would think so, but Claudio's supposed to be in the CMLL Grand Period.
Oh boy. So there's some comments on the chat. I like everybody in the chat. I like to delayed grats, but we're going to try to address this because, again, we have a platform here to try to address this and explain a little bit better than on social media, where it's a little bit tougher to explain and then tone text gets lost. He says, yeah, who wants more wrestling in a wrestling show? Give me more segments, recaps, commercial breaks, and another segment, another recap, another segment, then another 5-minute match. And then he also says, oh, sorry, wrong one. I agree with everyone in the chat. Clearly sarcasm. I agree with everyone in the chat. Complex storylines with multiple possibilities are stupid. Give me a straightforward story that a 5-year-old can easily understand and repeat it over and over. Look, I understand you're trying to do with the sarcasm here and everything. If you don't think WWE is doing kind of complex storylines with layers and things, and you think it's like very straightforward kind of stuff, I don't know what to tell you. They're not doing that anymore. They're not doing super simple storylines repeated over and over again. People were upset at the Judgment Day, the Liv Rhea dynamic, because it's like, oh, who's the babyface here? Who's the heel here? It's not this simple thing. If you think the Bloodline stuff is very simple, very straightforward, I don't know. There are complexities there, but they're also telling you this is a top heel. The fact that they got Roman Reigns over as a babyface while being off television because of the job Solo Sikoa did in taking out Jimmy and taking out Paul Heyman, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that was good storytelling. Nobody is saying that AEW is doing the complex stories and like, oh, we want it to be more spoon-fed, do this. We're not saying take away from the matches either. We are saying give things more of a point and give things more of a ABC and getting to where you need to go. Maybe you go in a different direction. I won't use the Triple H. Oh, I put it in the GPS and then the twists and the turns and everything. But you got to have a point, a starting point and an ending point to some of this stuff. And there's not many starting points and ending points when it comes to some of these AEW storylines. There's just not. But the fighting over the bracelet, I've already said this before. I think the bracelet stuff is stupid for that story. I don't think it should ever have been entered. I get it. I 100% get it. But I don't think it's the right thing for that story. Like, they already had a blood feud. I don't need this bracelet introduced. So you guys are saying like, oh, the bracelet. You're barking up the wrong tree with this CM Punk Drew McIntyre and bracelet stuff. Okay. Like, I'm not the person who is defending that story. I'm 100% saying that the Bloodline stuff is very good, that Damian Priest and Rhea is very good. And look on this. This is what we were talking about earlier. You got to sometimes look at some of these numbers and some of these metrics and some of these reactions. The Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, they're getting gigantic babyface reactions coming out of SummerSlam. Again, Roman Reigns, nobody bought Solo Sikoa. Nobody bought. So everyone was like, they still do the Temu Bloodline, everything. Nobody's buying him. Solo Sikoa is getting fuck you Solo, and we want Roman chants in the main event of SummerSlam. I understand it. Maybe it's not for you. That's fine. Maybe you don't like you think it's too simple. You think it's force fed and everything. But the reactions are there for this. Saying ratings don't matter, and I don't know if Big Man Dogs, because he might actually be a Roman Reigns fan. Because
Big Man Dogs is very sarcastic. So
okay,
I know him from our True Hill. He could be
okay. I like he's a regular here, but I just read it and things, like. I don't put a whole lot of stock into that. To me, if you enjoy it, great. If you don't enjoy it, okay. But again, there's a discussion to be had when it comes to that stuff. When it comes to AEW losing viewers throughout the show, when it comes to the fact that they've lost 100,000 viewers over the past 3 months, when it comes to the reactions dwindling and going down, like, there's something to be said. Clearly, you got to have a discussion about this. Like, that's
and not even to compare it to WWE. Like, New Japan storytelling throughout the G1 has been a lot more compelling than it was even 2 months ago. Like, someone like a Yuya Uemura has shown so much growth, and he has a very kind of simplistic style, but he is doing it so well, and he is growing before our eyes. Someone like a Konosuke Takeshita, who, has been we've all complained about why AEW didn't capitalize on the fact that he pinned Kenny Omega twice in 1 week last summer, but he's come into New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he just feels like he's the greatest wrestler in the world. And he's shown that he, has a different side to him that he's showcasing here. El Phantasmo has probably been the best character work throughout the entire G1 tournament. He came into the G1 all depressed. You got Gabe Kidd on commentary saying, "Oh, you're all sad because all your friends went to WWE to get paid," and like he's just making fun of them. He started off every matchup sitting in the corner, all depressed. Jeff Cobb had to pull him out the corner and be like, "Yo, you got to focus. You got to get into this. This is the G1. This is the most important match for you." And then he basically, after taking so many losses, he picks up a big win over Yuya Uemura, and then he's going back to Kurgan Hall. Kurgan Hall is a place that he's had some of his best matches, his best performances ever against Rocky Romero and Robbie Eagles in the Best of Super Juniors tournament, and he becomes El Phantasmo again. Instead of coming out all depressed wearing a t-shirt, they cut off the lights and he's got the light up jacket back on. He's feeling the vibes. He's like, all right, now I'm really into it. And he has one of the greatest matches of his whole career against Kanosuke Takeshita, another guy that has so much history in Kurgan Hall, that's faced Hiroshi Tanahashi in the past in that building and had these big matches with DDT in that building, and they put on the best match of the whole entire tournament. That type of storytelling that gets you invested in the guys that are underneath, that's the type of things that I just want from AEW. I want AEW to be the AEW that I fell in love with. I want to see the Hangman Adam Page arc from 2019 to 2021. And they've done great stuff with Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. Why I was on the show last arguing that should have been the main event of All In, because that's the story that I'm into. I love Bryan Danielson and I love the story that they have been telling with him and Swerve, but you got to capitalize on your biggest stories when you have them and when people are fully invested the way they are in that. So that's why I think that we've made good points. We've had a more nuanced conversation about some of the issues coming on in AEW, and WWE falls victim to a lot of the stuff that we're saying about AEW a lot too. So like, although there is some great stuff going on in WWE and they have their stuff there, but they do have a lack of diversity. Check out True Hill Heat, where I talked about that with Bobby Lashley and MVP leaving the company. They have totally shit the bed, in my opinion, with Bianca Belair since Triple H got in charge. Totally shit the bed with Street Profits, as far as I'm concerned. I want to see more black talent kind of prominently featured. And I think we talked about that the last time I was on here as well, that they have really kind of put them to the back burner and stuff like that. So I want to see more from WWE. I don't think WWE is the end all be all and that it's all perfect. I don't think Triple H is the perfect booker. That's why I had a tweet that actually got very popular, because I was like, oh, Triple H not a perfect booker? Well, color me shocked. No one's perfect in professional wrestling. Everyone has issues. All these companies have issues, and there wouldn't be podcasts like that if they were all perfect. We would just be like, oh yeah, we love that. We love, like Jeremy said about his, like he was doing in post show. Oh, that match was good. Oh, this match was good. Oh, that guy is popular. Oh, that guy sucks. Like that's all we would say all the time. But it's more nuanced conversations that we have to have about AEW, because like Jeremy said, there is an issue where their audience is dwindling, and we're just trying to come up with different ways where they can improve that.
And if you think we're being too hard on AEW on this, like, it's a Friday show. We're coming off of Dynamite. We're going into their biggest show of the year. So AEW is going to be the topic of discussion when it comes to this. When WrestleMania was going on, that was the topic of discussion. And we talked about things we did and didn't like when it came to WWE and how they were building certain things. So this is not, hey, let's just bag on AEW because it's today. Let's just bag on AEW day. It's a Friday show. Again, Dynamite happened. I don't know. I truly don't know what you thought about Dynamite. Like, I thought it was a fine show. The energy, I think the storm affected things. Like, the energy felt a little off. The crowd wasn't into a whole lot. Jeff Jarrett main eventing pops me, but I don't know if and this is another thing of, like, do AEW fans want Jeff Jarrett main eventing? Like, I think what they've done is good, by the way. Like, the story they've been telling with him being babyface in the Own Heart tournament, and now him trying to teach Bryan Danielson, you got to expect anything. That's why he attacked him with the guitar to start. Like, I think Jeff Jarrett's been really good out of this. So I don't think you can really look at this and be like, oh, Jeff Jarrett has like been almost Jericho'd here of like, what is he doing? But like Jeff Jarrett doesn't feel like the AEW that people were expecting 5 years ago. I tweeted this last night. I was watching Raw from 97 last night. Jeff Jarrett's on there doing a sit down with Jim Ross. And they're showing highlights from 5 years ago, from 1992, Jeff Jarrett. And I'm like, wow, Jeff Jarrett's kind of a focal point. He's talking about Shawn Michaels. He's burying Triple H. He's talking about, it was the Raw after Survivor Series. So he's talking about.
So this is when he returns?
Yeah.
When he returned, when he's doing the NWA program?
No. It's not quite. No. It's not quite NWA program, Jeff Jarrett yet. But he's talking about like, give me a one-word thought on this person. He's calling Triple H a tag along. I'm just like, this is 1997. They're making Jeff Jarrett like kind of a mid-card, but talking about main eventer act in 1997 Raw. And here we are in 2024. He's main eventing the biggest AEW weekly television show, and he might face Hangman Page at All In. And I don't think that like it's a bad thing. I think they've done a good job with it. I think Jeff Jarrett has played his role really well, but I'm also like, could they have used somebody else and not Jeff Jarrett in this spot? Like, couldn't they have done this with a different babyface to be in this spot? But look, bless Jeff Jarrett. He's done well for himself.
Yeah. I really like the main event with Jarrett and Bryan Danielson. It was one of those things where I was like, I did not see in the year of our Lord 2024 Jeff Jarrett versus Bryan Danielson to be the main event of any weekly TV show, but here we are, and I'm enjoying it. I love the brawl into the crowd. I love the brawl in the concession stand. I thought Jarrett, played his role really well, and I thought Swerve was great in the post match with how he's just playing these mind games with Bryan Danielson, and now he's trying to play it through Wheeler Yuta, and he's going to have to beat down Wheeler Yuta to make a message to Bryan Danielson. I feel like this program has gotten back where now I'm anticipating the title versus career matchup between Bryan and Swerve. Like I said, I also really enjoyed the opener to the show. I thought MJF and Kyle Fletcher was the best show, the best matchup on the show on Wednesday. MJF was just in his heel bag. He was just A+ heel material, just getting the most out of the crowd in attendance. And that was the loudest that the crowd really got on the show. And Kyle Fletcher just came off like a future top babyface in the promotion. And I was like, I'd much prefer Kyle Fletcher working as the babyface than working as the heel. It feels like he has more potential as a top line babyface than he will as a heel. There's a ceiling on him as a heel where I don't see that ceiling as a babyface. I think that you could see that he is like AJ, like I saw Sean put up on Twitter, like AJ Styles in 2002, Will Ospreay just a couple of years ago, or Kenny Omega in the junior heavyweight division. He's that type of guy where you could see him growing and getting more improved, where he could be a top babyface. And I like the post-match angle because it finally felt like we got some emotional hook to the MJF and Will Ospreay program instead of them just fighting over a title or fighting over the fact that MJF feels like Will took his spot. Now you have the emotional hook that he went after one of Will's friends, and now he's going to go after another one of Will's friends, and I'm going to be there in your call on Sunday when he faces Michael Oku for the American Championship. So all of that played out very well. It's just the middle part of the show. It just did not feel on the level of what we saw in the month of July. I thought the month of July for AEW was one of their best months as far as week-to-week Dynamites. I thought like Dynamite, where you had Beach Break with the MJF heel turn and the great match between Pac and Bryan, as well as Ospreay and Garcia. I thought the week after with the finals of the Owen Hart Cup and the Mariah May heel turn, that was a great week of television. The Dynamite 250, I know everybody wasn't sold on it, but I said it here last time I was on. I loved the MJF and Will Ospreay hour-long matchup, and that drew the best rating of any of the shows in that month. And then the Blood and Guts show, I thought Blood and Guts was awesome. And it in a vacuum, I would have said that that's the best blood and guts matchup. But you have to also think about how they built to it, and it wasn't the best build to blood and guts. It was probably the worst build to blood and guts, but blood and guts itself delivered. So when you come off of all those type of weeks where you're having like big stuff after big stuff after big stuff, and then you get a week like this week where it didn't feel, and travel issues and the storm had a lot to do with that, but it did not feel like we got the A+ material, like they're on the run to their biggest show of the year this week. And I think that's also what parlays into the whole conversation we've had the past hour of where I'm at with AEW, where they have too many things going on, and I just wanted to be more cohesive. I just want a more cohesive story from AEW, especially when you get closer to All In. And of course, they're going to have stuff that's out of their control. The whole Britt Baker suspension, of course, they didn't see that coming. I thought Britt and Mercedes 2 weeks ago were on a good run of they had that promo the first week. That was one of the best women's back and forth promos that we've seen in the company. I thought Mercedes in this heel role, she was kind of fighting her stride. But the last 2 weeks, we've kind of seen the downside of Mercedes. When Mercedes is talking and just talking week to week, and she doesn't have someone to play off of or to go back and forth in, I don't think that's her bag. I think her bag is to do more pre-tapes, to wrestle. That's where her bag is at, to do the standalone in the ring, 5 minute to 10 minute promo. No. That's not Mercedes' bag, in my opinion. And I think that's why a lot of the feeling and the hype for the Britt Baker matchup has fell off. Like I said, that's nothing against Mercedes. I just don't think that that's where her best use is at. So I didn't like that segment. I'm over Chris Jericho. I used to say, Chris Jericho, just don't wrestle, just talk. But even him on commentary, I was just like, I can't deal with this. Why is Hook still in this feud? This feud started in March. Ladies and gentlemen.
It started in February. It started in February, SV3.
I was like, why is Hook still here? Why is Hook still here?
Oh, it's been
I think it started in March. I say the start of the feud is really Revolution, when they were in that 6-way. Because then their first promo is the week after Revolution. Yeah, because it started. Right. Yeah, it did start in March. I was right. It did start in March because they were in that 6-way where Jericho, he dropped Jericho on his head, and then the next week they had the first promo where Jericho was like, "Yeah, I want to take you under my wing" and stuff like that.
All right. For some reason, I thought it's been so long. For some reason, I thought it was the week before Revolution, which I thought was the end of February. But all right, fine. First week of March, close enough to February.
5 months. Why does all these Jericho feuds go on so long? Why doesn't he ever know when to be like, okay, this is where we should stop it, and I need something new?
We're gonna have this discussion here in a second. Like when Hook faced Samoa Joe, Hook felt like the top thing in wrestling coming out of that, and then he got entered into Jericho stuff, and now he doesn't feel like the top thing in wrestling. I'm gonna get to that in a second, but real quickly, Cyclops by Logan. I honestly believe Jeremy likes Jeff Jarrett in the main event because he knows people hate it and he loves chaos. I don't know if people hate it though. Like people have done a real 180 when it comes to Jeff Jarrett. So I don't know if people like really do hate it. So this is what I'm talking about. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I would make the argument Jeff Jarrett would be a much better authority figure than Christopher Daniels.
So when it comes to Mercedes and Britt, what I think has gotten muddied on this is the Young Bucks suspended Britt because Mercedes went after her at Comic-Con, which is fine. They're heels. That's understandable. But then Tony just unsuspends her. Why didn't he just unsuspend her the first week? Why was she suspended in the first place? This is the power dynamic of not establishing who can do what or muddying who can do what. And again, blood and guts, losing, winning, had no real is because he just got suspended, but then Tony was like, okay, well, he's no longer suspended. Like that's where I feel like they could have just done more with. And I know people, again, people are going to look at, oh, it's a nitpick. This is what maybe people don't remember this, but in 2018, 2019, when WWE was like complete shit, these are the things people would point out of little things that just got tossed aside, and all these little things just add up. And then at some point, people just like stop caring about this stuff. And this is now why WWE gets praised for little things. This is why they get praised for, oh, did you see this person talking in the background to this person? They get praised for these little things because it adds up, and maybe it does go somewhere. And Triple H has done, to his credit, a good job capitalizing on some of these little things. It might take a while, but they get there. Whereas AEW, they have dropped the ball on some of these little things and capitalizing on them. So it does just add up to not mean anything. Oh, again, these are complaints people had a long time ago about WWE as well, and why people were turned off to WWE, and how it took a lot for them to really turn the tide and really turn the ship around. I don't want AEW to fall into a lot of these traps, because the wrestling is great. It's the best wrestling program every single week. I'm not going to sit here and argue otherwise. Like, if you want straightforward, great wrestling matches, Collision and Dynamite are better, way, way better than Raw and SmackDown. But sometimes you got to tighten up these little things, because if you have too many little screws loose, when you go to sit down on the chair, the whole chair collapses.
Yeah. We just want, I think what we're really asking for from AEW is we want their storytelling to catch up to their in-ring. And this is like Jeremy always says on this show, we never really criticize the wrestlers. We are more like, this whole conversation has been about criticizing the booking and their ability to have the storytelling get up to the in-ring, because the in-ring is here and the storytelling is here right now, it feels to me. To me, as someone that has been watching AEW, like I said at the beginning of the show, I just won a whole championship because I know all the AEW pay-per-view main events in reverse chronological order. I've been shooting in the AEW gym for a very, very long time. I said on that show, I was like, I went to this pay-per-view. I went to this pay-per-view. I went to this pay-per-view. This is before I was even like in wrestling media enough to apply for media. This is when I was paying to go to see AEW. I want AEW to be successful. So that's why I say the things that I am saying. But with WWE right now, their storytelling and their booking is here, and their in-ring is like here. And they're fine with that. And they're the most successful they've ever been with that. But AEW, I think they can find more success if they just make it just a little closer. It doesn't even have to be at the same level as the in-ring. They just have to make it just come a little closer. Just come a little bit closer, because they're right here right now. I just want to see them take the steps to make it a little bit closer. And they have made very great strides in certain areas this year. Like the women's division is a 180 from where it was a year ago. Like ever since All Out of last year, I've been saying it for a whole year. You have seen the steps that they have taken to make the women's division mean something. And now it has some of the best stories and the biggest stars in the promotion. So we just need to see that other step forward is where you lay everything out, make it a little bit more cohesive, and it helps the story overall. And I will say that, like I said, I like the beginning of Dynamite this week. I like the end of Dynamite this week. But even though MJF and Kyle Fletcher was probably the best match I saw on TV out of all the shows I saw this week, I would say that Raw was the best overall show that I saw this week. And it's very rare I say that Raw, it was better than Dynamite, because usually Dynamite is the best TV show on the planet, especially in 2024, 2023. Since it started, it's usually the best weekly show that I see throughout the week. But Raw this week was like a top 2 episode. You had the Judgment Day fallout with their implosion, which was great storytelling and got huge reaction from that crowd. You got the Wyatt Six with a debut that was a whole lot better than all of us would have predicted before they actually debuted. You had the the stuff with Bronson Reed and one of the best angles, one night angles to heat someone up. So they had a bunch of great moments that I'm going to remember. Whereas AEW, yes, I'm going to remember the MJF and Kyle Fletcher matchup, but the rest of the show didn't really come up to that standard. I thought Mariah May and Toni Storm was great. I thought the main event was really good, but everything else was just like, man, I felt very indifferent about everything else on this week's show.
And appreciate you, delayed grats. Respects, thanks for the clarity. Here's some support so Sean keeps you on air. I mean, look, as long as I'm here, I don't like we're going anywhere. But one thing I want to make clear is because sometimes when, and this is not anybody, this is not to Delayed Grats, this is not to anybody in the chat, this is to just a general comment I see of, oh, why do they have to be like WWE? Why do they have to be like WWE? Why do they have to do stories like WWE does stories? It's not that they need to do stories like WWE does stories, but I do think they just need to do cohesive stories that people enjoy, because let's be honest about what wrestling is. Let's be honest about the highest points in professional wrestling. It's never been in-ring stuff. And I know that might upset people, but it hasn't. Hulk Hogan was never a good in-ring worker. The Rock, Steve Austin weren't these some 5-star technical classic guys. The stuff in WWE right now, their in-ring stuff isn't the best. Roman Reigns, I call Roman Reigns the greatest professional wrestler of all time because he does the minimal and gets the biggest checks. That's the life you want to live right there. The in-ring stuff has never been what has been lifting wrestling. It has been connections with crowds and getting characters over. Because AEW, they do great with the in-ring stuff. They don't have to diminish their in-ring by getting connections in crowds and by getting characters over. They just don't. They can still do great in-ring work, but also giving you good characters and good crowd connections and good stories. It's not an either-or scenario here. And I think people have this idea that, oh, well, they're going to be like WWE if they can still do great in-ring work, but they can also give you good stories and give you good characters. That separates them, is doing both.
I would argue, though, that the wrestling business changed a bit where you can tell like profound, very layered stories within the in-ring work. And that's why I feel like AEW right now is very much missing their best in-ring storyteller in Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega really, in my opinion, he changed the business because, yes, people were raving about the matches with Kazuchika Okada back in 2017, 2018, but it was the overall arc to him winning the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship that changed the business forever and changed New Japan Pro Wrestling, where they gained their overall success. Because while he was able to tell that story with Okada through 4 matches, where he loses the first one after 47 minutes in the Tokyo Dome, then the next matchup they go to the 60-minute time limit draw, then the matchup in the G1, he only has 30 minutes to beat him, but he's able to bust out his best move, the move that he was unable to hit in the first matchup. He's able to hit it here, and he finally beats Okada. Then he has to wait a whole year before he finally gets that next opportunity, and it becomes a best 2 out of 3 falls in one of the best matches that I've ever seen. It's better than some movies, in my opinion. That 4th match that they had at Dominion 2018. All the while doing all of that with Okada, he's able to tell this year-long story with the Golden Lovers. He's able to split and splinter off from the Bullet Club throughout this whole storyline and officially turn babyface. At the same time, he's able to elevate someone like a Jay White by trying to offer him a spot in the Bullet Club, and then he turns on him, and it starts the year-long story of Jay White eventually becoming the leader of the Bullet Club. He was able to elevate the GOD, where the GOD was like, I'm sick of all this infighting from the elite. Y'all want to do your own thing? Y'all out of here. He told all these different stories. He had the matchup with Chris Jericho, which was like a 4-month program, but did the most business for New Japan Pro Wrestling. But he did all of that within the constructs of professional wrestling matches. And I feel like Kenny Omega is a big missing factor to AEW, where they can bring some of his ability to tell stories within the great wrestling that they always deliver. So I think that WWE is making a success out of strictly having elite and great storytelling without having their in-ring product to be on the level of AEW. But AEW is missing that person that can bring the storytelling into the in-ring and make it on the same level. And it's also on the booking as well. Like maybe Tony Khan needs someone else in there that's going to be like, hey, you need to do this. Hey, you need to do that. And not listen to the people that, are just telling him, hey, just book the great matches and we'll do the rest. No, you're going to need some good storytelling at the same time as well.
Alexander Fitzgerald says should be Okada versus Hangman, and by the way, the Continental title is such a joke. Remove that belt, remove the trios belt. It is crazy that they have Okada, and he's not just having like cool Okada matches. Like he's been cool.
He hasn't defended the Continental title since Dynasty.
Well, bless him. You know what? He's put in a lot of years. Let him be on TV. Just say a bitch. Get that check, Okada. It is just, when everyone fantasized about Okada going to AEW, it was like, oh man, Okada's going to have this great match and that great match. It's just like, Okada's just chilling in suits, fawning over Mercedes, saying bitch, going on. I respect it, honestly. I got no choice but to respect it. It's not going to be Hangman and Okada. It's going to be, I assume, Okada and Claudio, unless they do that match before All In. It looks like it's going to be Hangman and Jeff Jarrett, or maybe they're in the Casino Gauntlet. This is a very good question by Chi-Town Spurs. Do you guys think AEW will acknowledge Takeshita in the G1 and Anna Jay in the 5-star Grand Prix on television? If they do not acknowledge Takeshita and his run, and he does not come back as like one of their top guys, I don't know. He should have been there after last year and the Omega victories. He should have been there, and then he got lost in the Don Callis shuffle, which is very unfortunate. But after this, he should come back and truly be the alpha. Like, whatever you got to do, if it's getting away from Don Callis, if it's a singular focus on him with Don Callis, if it's him coming back and destroying Kyle Fletcher and destroying Will Ospreay, whatever it might be, you gotta go with this guy, because you were there with the Omega stuff. And this is the thing that, again, when we go back to not capitalizing on stuff, they had something with him after beating Omega, and then it was nothing. He beat Darby as well, and it was nothing. And that's where people get frustrated, is like, you had it and then you didn't. And now he's doing the G1, which is great for New Japan and great for him right now. But now you got to come back, and now you got to reestablish him in AEW and really go full bore with him after the G1.
1000% agree, because it's just like, I've said it multiple times on social media. I was like, if Tony Khan not paying attention, this dude is your top. He's in the top five best performers that you have in this company. He has charisma galore. He's an elite in-ring competitor, but he's able to tell stories without even speaking the language that I can understand. Next, his facial expressions are on point. He knows how to sell body parts in a intricate way that makes you invested more into his matchups. He's able to go against faces and heels at the same time. He had just as good a matchup with David Finlay as he had with Honore. So like, he has just delivered one of the best G1 performances that we have seen in recent memory. And you had Eddie Kingston last year, who had a good G1, and he came back. He immediately wins the Ring of Honor World Championship. By the end of the year, he wins the Continental Classic and wins the Continental Crown, winning the NJPW Strong, New Japan Strong Openweight Championship as well. He won all these things after he had a good performance in the G1. We got to put Takeshita in some main events on pay-per-view after the run he had in comparison to Eddie Kingston. I'm like I said, Eddie Kingston had a good run. Takeshita's had one of the best runs in a G1 since Kenny Omega was in a G1. That's how good Takeshita, that's how great Takeshita has been these past couple of weeks in the G1 Climax.
I do think that AEW is missing guys. They're clearly missing them. But when I say missing, of like from television, you mentioned Kenny Omega. You just mentioned Eddie Kingston, Jon Moxley. Hopefully he's getting his vacation. Bless him.
Yeah.
But these are three guys that get a reaction no matter what and make sense of things, even if like the direction isn't fully clear. Like they're good enough promos, they're good enough storytellers, and they have that believability and buy-in to like, okay, I'm with whatever. Very, very similar to Bryan Danielson. Is all great workers. Bryan Danielson, no matter what you give him, he's going to do his best with it and try to make the most sense of it. And he's going to get the crowd into it, whether he's supposed to be booed or whether he's supposed to be cheered. And there's something to be said to just have guys like that when people are saying your storytelling is a little all over the place. And they're missing those three right now. People are saying Copeland. Everyone knows I'm not as high on Copeland as
I am high on.
expects.
I am high on Copeland. I would, he is another one that is missing from like, he can help out throughout the card, and just his veteran leadership is helpful as well. But I agree with you. Yeah, Kenny. Like I said, I think Kenny Omega is the big return that should help AEW in the storytelling department. I think that, Jon Moxley, hopefully when Moxley comes back, he feels like he cares again, because it's been a while since he felt like he cared as far as like being a television character, being a television performer for AEW. Feels like it's been a while.
It's been Continental Classic. He was motivated in the Continental Classic.
He was, because he knew at the end he was going to put over, his best friend, Eddie Kingston. And Eddie Kingston is another big part that has been, missing. And I can only imagine the multiverse if they don't do that spot with him and Gabe Kidd at Resurgence. And if Eddie would have been in the Anarchy in the Arena and involved in Blood and Guts, maybe we would be more invested into the Elite storyline that we were. But we can't change what's happened. Hopefully Eddie will be back in 2025, but we need these guys to come back and make AEW feel whole again. Because, we had the little boost with like MJF coming back and Britt Baker coming back, who are more like day one AEW people. Darby being back is very helpful, and I feel like Darby's one of their best TV performers. And if Darby Allin ain't an AEW world champion in the next year, then I don't know what they're doing already, because this guy seems like he's ready to go and that he should be an AEW world champion sooner rather than later. So they have a whole bunch of performers that are there, but we just need to see more cohesion, more storytelling. Adam Cole, another one I see in the chat that people are mentioning, he would be helpful to being back as well. So I'm hopeful for AEW, and I'm hopeful they will probably hear stuff like this from more people in the chat, on social media and stuff like that. Maybe they don't pay attention to these different shows, but maybe they'll see like people kind of making points that they can kind of capitalize on. I'm hopeful for AEW.
And this is, of course, AEW is dying, AEW is going down or whatever. They're about to do 60,000 at Wembley. They are fine. Things are good when it comes to that kind of stuff. But again, there is a real conversation to be had about numbers kind of going down in that sense. That doesn't mean death, but there is the reality of going down. And that how can you retain, maintain, rebuild this kind of stuff. Delayed Grad saying, who are your picks for debuts, surprises at All In? I think Ricochet is not a given, but close.
I think Ricochet in the Casino Gauntlet. That's the spot. As soon as they announced that, I was like, oh, that's got to be the spot for Ricochet to come back. Ricochet to come in, excuse me. So, yeah, I can see that. I can see someone like Jon Moxley making his return in like the Casino Gauntlet or something like that. That could be something. And my big one that I've been on for weeks, and certain people, Jeremy, have been telling me I'm trying to manifest this, that it's not going to happen. But I feel like we could see it. We have Mercedes beat Britt. Britt's getting beat down by Camille and Mercedes. And we finally have the return of Jamie fucking Hayter. Please.
I hope so. We've been missing Jamie Hayter. She was red hot, and to miss last year, it was unfortunate. So I would like to see that. I don't know how close she is or isn't to a return, but that would be a good spot. Ricochet is the only one I feel kind of confident in. I don't feel confident in really anybody else. People mention Bobby Lashley, MVP. I don't know. I don't know if they end up in AEW like people believe they will. I think there's a spot for them. But we had this conversation last time. I think SP3 is like, if you add Bobby Lashley and MVP, okay, who goes away? Who are you taking time from in that sense? Like, I don't know. Like, again, I do think there is a spot for Bobby Lashley as a television performer and in this company, but they also just have so much talent that, like, I would still want them to focus on that. I don't know where Lashley fits with everything.
That is true. That is a good point. I would like to see.
He's gonna feud with Jericho. Like, that's what we're gonna have.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Please don't do that. Please don't do that to this man. Please. I think something like, Lashley MVP coming in after All In, and them feuding with Swerve. Like, if Swerve loses the AEW World Championship, like, he's gonna need a big program to keep him kind of hot or at that top position coming out of All In. I would say something like Swerve and Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley gets a big win over the former AEW World Champion or something like that. I could see something like that. But yeah, we're gonna need less time for Jericho if Bobby Lashley and MVP are coming in. Please.
Meat Norma says, hello, brubs. TK filed the trademark for Meat Mayhem. Will this be Lashley's debut? Mirror return. They owe me for Meat Madness. Damn it. Yeah, are you suing them, Meat Normus? I feel like you have a case. You have a case here.
You do.
I don't know. Like, they filed the trademark, but they filed the trademark earlier this year. Their last 3 trademarks have all been like meat-related trademarks. So
we're going to get all these meat ones just in case when we're ready to do a meat matchup. They're going to do it at All Out since it's going to be the 1-year anniversary of Meat Forever.
Hobbs is still hurt. I don't know when he's supposed to be back. I know he's teasing some stuff. I don't know if it's going to be a Lashley thing. Wardlow is allegedly around somewhere. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they got an Omaha Steaks deal, and that's what they're doing here.
Miro hooked them up.
Yeah. I don't know about like Miro. I don't know what his desire is to be on this stuff. Keith Lee is still going through things, I guess. I'm not going to speculate on why Keith Lee and Miro are still off television, but like they're not on TV, and I don't think their returns immediately fix a lot of stuff because this goes to, if they come back, then who has to be kind of taken off or who gets less time with things. Like, it's cool. It's cool, like, to have a Miro return, to have a Powerhouse Hobbs return, Adam Cole. I think Adam Cole would be a big boost. But like, if these guys come back, okay, well, now where are they at in the hierarchy, and who's gonna fall a little bit with these guys coming back? That's something that's got to be figured out.
Yeah, and you can use them to boost up Collision. I see Henry in the chat kind of saying that, and yeah, you do need there does need to be like that kind of what we had in the beginning of Collision, that you're going to watch Collision to see this group of guys, and even you kind of had that towards the end of like last year, the beginning of this year with Copeland and Bryan were just exclusively showing up on Collision. It needs to be outside of just FTR as your kind of top stars that you only see on Collision. They kind of have to spread that out, and it would be helpful to have some of these guys back where you're able to have big stars on Collision, big stars on Dynamite, and make both shows worth watching again.
Collision has felt very like, I think the shows have been good during the esports arena run, but this is an issue I've had with Collision for a while. It doesn't feel connected to the rest of the AEW universe. They've done a little bit better job of putting Collision people on Dynamite in past weeks, but when Danielson, Swerve, when your top guys aren't showing up to Collision and building those top stories on Collision, it doesn't feel as like the trios division is what they're sort of building on Collision, which is okay. And I've said this before, I don't like any of these teams in the trios division.
All of them were like heels like yesterday. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like any of these teams. Like Christian, very clear cut heel, very much like does a great job. I think Christian does fantastic work. House of Black, not for me. Good wrestlers, no issues there, but like just the group and the presentation, the stuff they try to do, just not for me. And yes, very much heels. Very much like a couple months ago, they were stealing Adam Copeland's wedding ring. Very much heels. And
they
then
very
Bang
much
Bang
feel,
Gang,
especially in this program, they feel very much like situational baby faces.
yeah. And then Bang Bang Gang, also heels. I wish they'd go back. I know Jay White's hurt. I wish Darby would come after them because Darby's the one who got taken out.
They never followed up with that. What are we doing? But yeah, they need Jay to come back to make them heels again. But like, if you just have Juice Robinson, I think a lot of us that watched New Japan back in like 2017, 2018, Juice Robinson was one of the best baby faces. Like, he was on the rise at that point. And I just think it was just a natural thing. They're in Arlington in that matchup with the patriarchy. That's where it felt like they just turned babyface. That AEW was like, oh, we're just gonna go with the crowd. The crowd here in Arlington love him, so they're the baby faces here. And Juice is just so likable, even as this wild man character, and his just over the top charisma. He has that wacky charisma to him that they just said, yeah, they're baby faces too against the patriarchy. As long as they're not baby faces against anybody else, but the patriarchy, yeah, they're baby faces because Christian is one of the biggest heels in this company.
They should just build the whole show around Hologram. And what I mean by that is he should be in multiple segments. I want hologram video packages. I want multiple hologram matches. I want him just like chilling backstage, playing video games. I don't care. Just going through a portal. I need a segment where like he goes through a portal and he's wrestling somewhere else, but it's still on Collision. He's just in Arena Mexico all of a sudden. It just jumps to a portal. He's wrestling on Arena Mexico. It's a taped match on Collision. This is what I need from Hologram. The whole show, Hologram.
I love me some Hologram. Even like Jimmy Makara, when they showed the Hologram video package on Dynamite, he was like, yo, this dude looks dope. He was like, I'm not watching Collision, but he looks dope. Like from the highlights that you see of Hologram. I agree. Like, Hologram's one of the better people on there. I don't know what they're doing with the whole Thunder Rosa, Deonna Purrazzo program. I think that both Tony Khan and Triple H need to realize the difference between long-term storytelling and telling a story too long. Like, Tony is victim of that with the Jericho and Hook storyline, and he's already hit that limit with me as far as Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo. Like, the logical thing would have been to have Thunder Rosa win the last matchup to make it 2-2, and then do the Texas Bull Rope matchup. Not have Deonna beat her 3 times in a row where you're just like, okay, this is done. Deonna won the feud. Why are we going to keep this going? No, we're going to keep it going for a Texas Bull Rope matchup where I don't know this Saturday if that's the blow off for this feud, because this feud felt like it had a blow off with the no DQ matchup, with the lumberjack match. Now we got a Texas Bull Rope matchup. Like, how many blow offs can one feud have?
Well, maybe it's the Texas Bull Rope match. Maybe.
It's a best of 7 series at this point. They're having a best of 7.
They had a cage match at some point. Just because.
Texas Death Match. It's got to have a Texas Death Match as well.
Yeah,
why not? It's
true,
in Texas.
True.
Just going to get going.
The thumbnail for this show is allegedly Roman Reigns. So maybe we should talk a little bit about SmackDown. Not too much to announce. No matches. My kind of show. No wrestling on the wrestling show. Love it. Roman Reigns is going to appear. Cody Rhodes is going to appear. LA Knight's going to appear.
Yeah.
Nia Jax is going to appear. A lot of appearances. Just everybody in the ring all at once, I hope. They're just all in a corner. 3 of them got their titles. Roman's got his Uafala. All just chilling, shaking hands. Like, congrats on your win. Congrats on your win. Congrats on your return.
And then the bloodline comes out to crash the party. It's like, boo, fuck you, Solo. That's what I need. I need it. No, I'm looking forward to having Roman actually on the show because I feel like Roman Reigns is one of their best like TV performers, whether it be as a talker, as a character. We don't see him wrestle, so can't say that. But and I'm interested to see what they're. No, he doesn't need to. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with Cody. Because Cody is like the big question mark as far as like you got Bash in Berlin in 3 weeks. Like, who's Cody gonna face at that? They're gonna do a Cody Rhodes matchup because Cody has to go to all these shows apparently. Cody doesn't want the Roman schedule. He doesn't want to have a take a pay-per-view off, even though it would be helpful to give Randy Orton and Gunther that spotlight, but I don't see that.
I mean, I think Orton and Gunther's gonna headline anyway.
I think so.
Yeah. I think that's gonna headline anyway. Yeah, Cody can. People are saying Andrade, Flaming Table repeat. They might do that at Bad Blood, honestly. Like,
but they said
in Georgia.
Andrade wants the U.S. title.
Andrade can change his mind, you know. Go after the world title.
And Andrade's a babyface.
I don't care about Cody. I don't care. He's no longer the top babyface. The tribal chief is back, as we all want and need. Cody can do his full time. I'm gonna work all the live events. I'm gonna work all the house show, the television shows, the PLEs. I'm going to go overseas. I'm going to stay late. I'm going to sign the autographs. I'm going to kiss the babies. I'm going to run for governor of Georgia. He can do all that nonsense. Give me the man who shows up and just says, acknowledge me. And he puts his finger in the air and he gets the biggest reaction and he goes home and he counts his money and he signs his shoe deals, and he does nothing else. I'm so happy this man is back. The real, true, great, last professional wrestler, Roman Reigns. In a world where too many people care about your "this is awesome" chants and your "let's go this person" and "let's go that person" and your AEW chants. I don't think nobody really chants WWE. And the "we want tables" chants. In a world where too many people care about that stuff, Roman Reigns stands above them all of not giving a fuck about any of that, just caring about the checks and the reactions. That's all that matters to this man, because that's all that should matter to professional wrestlers. Checks and reactions.
You don't have to convince me, sir. I've been shooting in the Roman Reigns gym longer than most. I'm the one that gave a remix to his original song, Roman, the big dog. So I've been with the Roman band. This man cut one of the greatest promos in the history of professional wrestling, and it was 5 words. This is my yard now. That's all he had to say to get the biggest reaction. I was there in Orlando, Florida, back at the night after WrestleMania 33. So you don't have to convince me of anything. Roman Reigns is the biggest babyface, the biggest star in WWE. But it's very interesting. It's intriguing to me to watch how SmackDown is going to be laid out, because I had a discussion with good friend of the channel, of course, Fightful's own Phil Lindsay of the Grab City podcast, and he was talking about how, I said that, the solo matchup, that was the first Cody match that didn't work for me, but Cody, it did feel like that was the first time that Cody was involved in the top program, though. His whole feud with Solo Sikoa heading into SummerSlam. Like the program with AJ Styles delivered great matches, but it never felt like it was the top program on SmackDown. The top story on SmackDown has always been the Bloodline. And that's because it's the more compelling story to watch unfold. And I think that Cody really needed, immediately after SummerSlam, Randy Orton turning on him. Because I think that's what we're all waiting for. That's the next great story that Cody can tell without the Bloodline's involvement. Anything else, if he's not involved in that with the history that he has with Randy Orton, and he's not involved with the Bloodline story, territory, he's going to be second to whatever's going on with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. That is the top program in WWE. That's the top program on SmackDown. And we're really going to see a shift of, is Cody the actual top guy or not? Does Triple H really value him and see him as his top guy? Or is it really just Roman again? Is it Roman again? And Cody is just holding on to this WWE title as the only way to be valued as that. I'm gonna say hi after the screen.
Ah. She acknowledges the tribal chief.
She does. She does. She's going crazy for the show. She's like, all you fans at SummerSlam, all you fans in Cleveland. I'm like, when he came out, that's what she.
I was hoping he was going to kick Cody's ass afterwards.
I saw the anonymous In the Weeds general manager's video where she cut you off right at the end as you were about.
Yeah, you can hear me just say, "Yeah, kick Cody." Yeah, I was yelling, "Kick Cody's ass." I'm so happy this man is back. People can hate. Let him hate. He'll drop their whole clan.
Lay your ass down.
Laying everybody down for the 3 seconds in.
I see where you were going there.
This man rules so much. So much.
He does.
Love him.
He got Cody and Solo 4 stars from Dave Meltzer. Thank you.
Was that how it got? Sure.
Yes.
I don't care about that kind of
shit.
Yeah,
and Drew and Punk got 3 stars. I was like, never changed, Dave. Never changed.
Oh. That match was fine. I've said it. Like the energy was off, the intensity was off for that match. The bracelet stuff, not for me. Like
I enjoyed Punk and Drew. I did not enjoy the first 16 minutes of Cody and Solo.
And Cody and Solo just trying to go out there and have a wrestling match when we all know there's gonna be a bunch of run-ins. I said it on Monday's show of just like, if you want to do some crowd brawling, fine, because at least, you're going around the arena. You're not trying to really beat each other. You're just trying to beat up on each other to get to that point. But them trying to have a wrestling match, it's like, look, guys, it's Bloodline rules. We know a bunch of people about to run in. Knock it off. Like,
yeah, just get to the point. Get to the point. Get to the point of it. And it's Bloodline rules. Why are y'all having a regular ass match with no weapons? No, they didn't even pull out weapons until the Bloodline showed up. I was like,
I was fine with that. Doing? Weapons are stupid. And all these dorks chanting, "We want tables." Fuck off with that. Give me a real chant again. A chant. I know I don't like tables because I might have to go through one in like 2 weeks, but give me a real chant of, some fire or something. Terrible. All right, we got a super chat as we wind down here. I don't know what else has happened on SmackDown. It doesn't matter. Roman Reigns is back. That's all that matters. That's all anybody can possibly care about.
Baby. That's all that matters.
So happy this man is back. Love him. Our pal Jake Shaw says, since we got the FMC crew on here, we got to talk about in the show, talking about USA Hoops yesterday. I don't care about USA Hoops. I mean, it's fine. Kevin Durant is on one on social media. I mean, it's fuck Kevin.
I saw him though. He was wilding.
I mean, it's fuck Kevin Durant for life, but I gotta be honest. He's I enjoy these comments that he's making. This man goes out here, puts the dagger shot in against Serbia, and is like, yeah, now let me address all these idiots online. I think it's fantastic, honestly. I got no choice but to respect it.
I love Petty Durant. Petty Durant is the best variant of Kevin Durant. But USA got to do it on Saturday because it is 8-10-24. Kobe's 2 NBA numbers and his USA number. It's just meant to be. It's meant to be. USA basketball going to win the gold medal on Kobe Day.
Kevin Durant is a Twitter finger goat. Very true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hilarious now because Kevin Durant can't win on his own, and that's why he's got to continue to form like these big threes and stuff. So, like, I think it's funny. He's just not that guy anymore. So he's talking all this shit like as a legacy, which is fine. He's got 2 titles. Yeah. He's got Finals MVP. Yeah. He's got MVPs. Like, but he's talking shit as a legacy, not as a guy who's actually going to go out there and win you basketball games. So it's fine.
Hey, he can win some basketball games.
Can he? How many playoffs? Yeah. How many playoff wins Kevin Durant have last year?
Did he make it to the playoffs?
Yeah.
So he got you plenty of wins in the regular season, enough to make the playoffs.
How many playoff wins did he have?
Hey, I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned.
How many playoff wins Kevin Durant got like the last 2 years?
Not my team. I'm not concerned. I'm just.
I agree. That's what I'm saying.
I'm happy he getting us dagger wins for USA. He's representing USA well in France. France got the chance to be the first home Olympic team to basically win a gold medal since USA in 1996. So gonna be a fun one. This could be a big game for Wembanyama. Wembanyama is gonna show everybody where he stands against these NBA greats on Team USA. So I'm excited.
They gotta get Draymond to France. It's fuck Draymond for life too, but they gotta get him to France to call this game between USA and France. They have to.
He would be great color commentating.
He'd be awful, but it would rule because he just bury Gobert the entire time. Like, look at Rudy's trash ass sitting on the bench, can't even get on the game. He'd be going crazy with LeBron and Steph. And Dwayne Wade ain't like biased, ain't like hiding his bias at all on commentary, which is fine. Like, he's American, he's part of the Olympic team. Like, it's fine. Draymond would take it to a different level because Dwayne Wade is like professional in being biased. You know, he's still like praising Jokic. He's talking good about Serbia. Draymond wouldn't give a fuck about that.
Nope.
Draymond was talking about, Wemby got to get in the gym. Look at Anthony Davis just posting him. Look at Embiid posting him. Put that man in the blender. Get him in the gym. He'd probably go out there and like try to fight Gobert. He'd actually like leave the commentary table and go sit next to Gobert and just be like, how's it going? How do you think of this game? That's Harlem reading all your trash takes online. That's what Harlem's doing.
I think she smashed strawberries in her hands and she wanted me to see her hands that smell like a great deal of strawberries that she just smashed in her hands. But I'm looking forward for USA to win the gold medal on Saturday. I'm also looking forward to the G1 Climax because we're heading down the home stretch. I think the B block has two more matches. A block has one more match. Zack Sabre Jr. is already in the playoffs. He had an instant classic with Gabe Kidd on yesterday morning. And unfortunately, my Shota Umino agenda is over and got eliminated by freaking Jake Lee. He got Jake Lead. What are we doing, New Japan? Why are y'all always doing this to Shota? Why is Shota Umino the new Tetsuya Naito? Why? Why does he always have to lose in these why? I had a whole bunch of UK people jump me, Jeremy. They all jumped me when I said Shota Umino was going to win over Zack Sabre Jr. I should have been the one that was right. They should have went for the underdog instead of going with the popular pick. Everybody's picking Zack Sabre Jr. He's going to take it. It's coming home. Oh, yeah. Oh, great. He's in the playoffs. All right. He said, my career's a failure if I don't win.
It's never coming home, let's be honest. We all know who I'm going for.
Oh, he's getting eliminated. Shooter is going to be the one that puts the death nail on your boy on Monday. Monday, it's over.
The greatest Japanese professional wrestler of all time, Evil. That's who's going to take this, baby. My guy, Evil. Do the taunt with me, SP3.
No.
Do the taunt with me. EVIL. Evil.
No, I'm good. Shooter, that will be the last great thing Shooter does in this tournament is he's going to officially eliminate Evil.
He's winning it.
Hey, match of the year though with Zack Sabre Jr. and Evil. Match of the year, 19 seconds. Match of the year.
It was fantastic. Love Evil. I hope he wins.
You love seeing him lose in 19 seconds? Me too. I agree. I agree.
Hope he wins. He's not going to, but I'll continue to push the Evil agenda. I need him in WWE. Oh, I need it so bad. I need it. He'd be amazing. Him and Tonga Loa, just.
You gotta stop letting Joe Pearl jump on your Evil bandwagon. I told him on Twitter, I'll just say it here since I know he's gonna watch this back. He needs to start rooting for Jake Lee because Jake Lee is just as bad as Evil. Jake Lee, even though Jake Lee's been having good match, he had a good match with Shota Umino, but Jake Lee is almost as bad as Evil. So he's got to start rooting for
Evil's the best. He's not bad.
No, he's the worst. He's the worst. He's the worst. He's even rubbed off on our poor Ren Narita. Ren Narita used to be a Shibata clone. Now he's an Evil clone.
Yeah. Good. Need more people like Evil in wrestling. All right, folks. Wow.
Whenever you talk about Evil, and that's the first thought that comes to my head. So hey.
I'm gonna get this taunt over. Do the taunt with me, SP3. I'm gonna teach it to everybody. Ready? E. Come on, do it, SP3. E.
SP3.
E. V. I. L. Evil.
Evil.
I'm gonna get this thing over.
He's gonna start when he does it. You're gonna mark out. You're gonna do it during a post match interview.
Could you imagine if he actually does this thing? Could you imagine if he actually does this? I don't even know how he would see it. It's like it pops on his feed. I don't know if Evil's online.
Someone needs to clip it and just tag people in House of Torture on your social media account. Tag people because I don't think Evil has a social media, but tag people who are in the House of Torture or House of Torture adjacent.
He's doing his backstage interviews, and he's like, "You guys, I'm gonna do like a Gold Dust promo. You guys won't forget the name EVIL, Evil."
Evil. Oh man. The worst wrestler in the G1. Yep. I said it.
How dare you? I guess I could switch it up. So it would go EVI and then L like that.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's do the clip now. Okay. Rewind. Here's the real clip. Okay. You guys will never forget the name EV. Oh no, wrong finger. All right, run back. It's doing ring finger.
There's more botches than an Evil matchup.
Ring finger. Okay, here we go. You guys won't forget the name EVIL, Evil. As the banging in the background goes off.
At least you said it like him.
Yeah. Rules. If we accomplished nothing else today, we came up with a new taunt for Evil, so I consider this show a success.
Big thumbs up. Drop the thumbs up if you haven't already.
Drop your EVILs in the chat for Evil.
Evil.
Oh man. SP3, let everybody know where they can find you at.
You can find me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. I will be live tomorrow, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time, the True Hill Heat flagship podcast. As we said earlier, the best 3 hours of wrestling podcasts in the land. We're going to talk about the G1 climax and Evil being eliminated, but not tomorrow. Tomorrow's show, I think, is it? No, it's B Block. It's B Block tomorrow. So Evil won't be eliminated until Monday, but we'll talk about the G1 Climax. We'll talk about Lucha Bros leaving AEW to WWE. Ricky Starks potentially being the next one to go from AEW to WWE, and everything else. The True Hill Heat Flagship Podcast. Join us live for
that. SP3, I appreciate you as always. Everyone, check out Coexisting with Rob and Maggie. That's at 3 p.m. Eastern right here on this channel. Guys, thank you for all the love today with the super chats. We did well, so I appreciate everyone hanging out and leaving us some super chats and just being active in general in the chats. I thought we hopefully had a good conversation for everybody, and everyone can understand we are not trying to bad faith take with a lot of this stuff. It comes out of genuine care and love of wrestling. So, but we appreciate the active chat. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for the past 2 hours. Everyone go check out the Ben Bishop interview that is on the main channel right now. I mean, granted, SP3 and I interviewed Ben Bishop first. So
the best interview. Where it became FMC.
Is this interview really that good? Sean doing it. I guess Ben had to lower himself to the B team of Fightful to do an interview with Sean after doing one with us. So, what can you do? Go check that out now. That's on the main channel. We'll be back on Monday. Maybe Joel will show up. 2-show Joel out here, maybe showing up for one of his 2 shows during the week instead of the 3 like he's not contractually obligated to do, but should be doing. What can you do? Guys, we appreciate it. We'll be back on Monday. Everyone take care. Everyone enjoy your weekend. Whatever you're doing with your weekend, it is a sort of lesser weekend when it comes to wrestling. And what I mean is there's no major shows. You got, as usual, SmackDown and Collision. There's an MLW show that I believe is taped. I don't think it's a live show. So, watch that if you would like. That's on Saturday. But no major shows from AEW or WWE this weekend. New Japan stuff continues. So watch that, or, just enjoy yourself. Watch the last few nights of the Olympics or whatever you're doing. Have fun with your friends, family. Just take care of yourself this weekend, everybody. Bye, everyone.
And touch